Hello, Christ is in our midst. I'm Father Kevin Long of St. Elias Antiochian Orthodox Church in Newcastle, Pennsylvania. Today is Sunday, August 16th, 2020, and here are the readings for today. The first reading is from St. Paul's first letter to the Corinthians, chapter 4, verses 9 through 16. Brethren, God has exhibited us apostles as last of all, like men sentenced to death, because we have become a spectacle to the world, to angels, and to men. We are fools for Christ's sake, but you are wise in Christ. We are weak, but you are strong. You are held in honor, but we are in dispute. To the present hour we hunger and thirst, we are ill-clad and buffeted and homeless, and we labor, working with our own hands. When reviled, we bless. When persecuted, we endure. When slandered, we try to conciliate. We have become, and are now, as the refuse of the world, the offscouring of all things. I do not write this to make you ashamed, but to admonish you as my beloved children. For though you have countless guides in Christ, you do not have many fathers. For I became your father in Christ Jesus through the gospel. I urge you then, be imitators of me. And this morning's gospel is from the Gospel of St. Matthew, chapter 17, verses 14 through 23. At that time a man came up to Jesus, and kneeling before him said, Lord, have mercy on my son, for he is an epileptic, and he suffers terribly. For often he falls into the fire, and often into the water. And I brought him to your disciples, and they could not heal him. And Jesus answered, O faithless and perverse generation, how long am I to be with you? How long am I to bear with you? Bring him here to me. And Jesus rebuked him, and the demon came out of him, and the boy was cured instantly. Then the disciples came to Jesus privately and said, Why could we not cast it out? He said to them, Because of your little faith. For truly I say to you, if you have the faith as a grain of mustard seed, you will say to this mountain, Move hence to yonder place, and it will move, and nothing will be impossible to you. But this kind never comes out except by prayer and fasting. As they were gathering in Galilee, Jesus said to them, The Son of Man is to be delivered into the hands of men, and they will kill him, and he will be raised on the third day. This morning I want to take a look at the Epistle reading. If you wish to hear my reflections on the Gospel, we'll be doing that in the sermon later on. But for the point of this morning, what I want to show is the contrast that St. Paul is making between himself and the people of Corinth. Look at what he is saying. Brethren, God has exhibited us apostles to be last of all, like men sentenced to death. We are fools for Christ's sake, but you are wise in Christ. We are weak, but you are strong. You are held in honor, but we in disrepute. And then he goes on to describe the kinds of things that he's going through. He says, To this present hour we hunger and we thirst, we are ill-clad and buffeted and homeless, and we labor, working with our own hands. So they don't have the high estate that the people who follow Christ in Corinth have. It's as if the people in Corinth may be following Christ, but they're doing it in a way that's more akin to the Pharisees, as Christ recalls in the Gospels, where he speaks about how they love to sit in the high places and to be recognized in the marketplaces, and they love their outfits and things like that. It's almost like St. Paul is accusing the people of Corinth to be the same way, that they really don't live in any kind of adversity. They want for nothing. They're well respected, and so it may be, I think he's saying, that they're not taking the gospel seriously enough. Because when you do, one of the sure signs of taking the gospel seriously enough is that things will happen to you like St. Paul is describing. You will not be able to wear fancy outfits because they'll be torn off of you. You'll be buffeted, beaten up. You'll be homeless. You'll have to work with your own hands, which, of course, for many people in that day and age was considered the work of menial tasks for slaves and for people of the lower echelons of culture. But then he goes on to say this, when reviled, we bless. So they give good when they get bad. When persecuted, we endure. We don't complain, he's saying. We bear with what we are given because we know that we have a far greater reward that will come in following Jesus Christ than any kind of thing that will happen if we work to avoid our persecution. When slandered, we try to conciliate. So we bear no malice, and we don't say, well, those are scum, and I hate them, and I don't want to have anything to do with them. I shake the dust off my feet about them. No, they try to conciliate, because Christ is our peace. He is the one who brings peace and light and love and mercy to the world. And so if we wish for those kinds of things to be made real, then we have to do our part to try to bring peace to these situations through Jesus Christ, of course. And then he says, we have become and are now as the refuse of the world. We are the world's garbage. But we're not. I mean, that's the great paradox of being a Christian, that to Jesus we have value of infinite worth. And in fact, we show that we love him through the fruit that we bear. That is beyond precious, even to the angels. But to the world would see us as what? The offscouring of all things. Flotsam and jetsam, debris. That's what we are as the world sees us. And so St. Paul is describing these characteristics as what mark a true Christian in this time. And so what he is doing is he's showing the people of Corinth, if you were really following Christ, this is what you would look like. Not how you look, nicely dressed and impressive and respected in the community. Oh no, you'd be treated like the garbage of the world. That's what St. Paul is thinking, that they're walking in the wrong way, in the wrong path, and they need to get set back right. And then he says, I do not write this to make you ashamed, but to admonish you as my beloved children. For though you have countless guides in Christ, you do not have many fathers. Now there's an interesting passage there, because, who are the fathers? Well, the fathers, as we understand them, are the priests, and, the mothers would be spiritually guided, nuns. And so you need a mentor, not just someone who says, well, I think that's what this says, or a peer who just sits there and says, let's do this or let's do that, and maybe right or probably is wrong, at least in the case of Corinth, I'm saying. He's saying you need fathers, people of spiritual depth who can guide you. In our tradition, in the Orthodox tradition, we have spiritual fathers like the monks of Mount Athos, or even monks in this country, people of deep spirituality who are constantly praying and constantly reading the services and constantly praying for the whole world, right? So for though you have countless guides in Christ, you do not have many fathers. And now also remember this. Jesus says earlier, call no man father, because you have one Father who is in heaven. That's a different kind of father. That's like the Father who begot the Son. Okay, so that's more an issue of parentage in the creation sense. Okay, but what this is talking about is a spiritual mentor, somebody who can guide you through the tough times and who can point out to you when the way that you are living is probably not the best way, but there are other ways and better ways to do that. So that's the kind of father that St. Paul is talking about, and ideally that's the kind of father that we have as the priests in our church. Not fathers who lord over their fathership and dominate like a patriarchal father, not like that, but instead one who knows his flock, one who understands each person individually and helps them themselves navigate the path that they must navigate in order to get ideally to where they are to go. So again, he says, for I become your father in Christ through the gospel. Therefore, he says, I urge you to be imitators of me, not the pristine, clean, lofty, better than other type of Christian, but instead the one who gets his hands dirty and who willingly takes persecutions and is willing to endure all sorts of embarrassment and affliction to follow after Christ. So that's the reflection for this morning. What kind of Christian are we? Are we the ones that St. Paul is criticizing, or are we the ones that he wishes us to be like? This is our challenge even today. So may God bless you and keep you, you and your family, always and forever. May his mercy and light shine on you, and may he grant you his peace. God bless you. Have a great day, and God willing, we'll see you tomorrow.